All right, let's get started. We'll be talking about spending again today and the various ways that different groups of people in society spend money. And the two groups we'll look at this morning are men and women, a favorite topic for many people. And I'm going to cover some of the different ways that men and women spend money and then discuss some of the reactions by businesses to these differences. So we're going to see lots of differences, and the main reason I want to focus on gender differences in spending is because these differences are starting to have very big implications for marketers and advertisers. Now, I'm speaking in generalizations here, but traditionally, the wife and mother in a family has been the one in the family who has been concerned with taking care of the home and taking care of the children. So, for example, it's traditionally the woman in the family who thinks about preparing the food for the family or keeping the family healthy and warm, those kinds of things. Here's how experts say it. They say women want to create a lifestyle. Now that means they tend to focus on the daily life of their family. Another way we can say this is women have traditionally focused more on now. So when we think about spending money, the traditional purchases made by women have been things like the daily food for the family, and the shoes, and the clothes. These kinds of purchases are made for the daily needs of the family for right now. Now, let's move on and let's talk about the traditional responsibilities and traditional spending by men. Traditionally, and again, this is a generalization, the man in the family is the one who fixes things. So, for example, if a door in the house is broken, the man fixes it, okay? So now, when it comes to spending, well, men traditionally want to get those things that will last a long time and that don't need replacing or repairing. They're the ones who are concerned with the long-term value of purchases. And that makes quite a bit of sense. Now, the long-term value of an item increases as the price of the item goes up. So the long-term value of a car, for example, is more important to a family's finances than, let's say, the long-term value of a sweater or a pair of shoes. So items with a high long-term value have been important to men. So now we're going to look at big ticket items. Okay? And we sometimes call these expensive items with long-term value the big ticket items. So big ticket items like cars, refrigerators, televisions, electronic equipment, they're the things that last a long time. They have a longer value, so because men usually made the decision about the big ticket items, the experts have traditionally considered men to be more focused on the future in their spending behavior. All right, so up to now, I've given you a picture of the traditional differences in the way men and women think about and spend money. So we have women now and men future. Okay? We said women think more about now and men think more about the future. Good. And up to now, you've seen that I've been using the word traditional and traditionally. Why? Because much of what I've said is changing. And change is right before our eyes. The traditional responsibilities in the family are changing. And as a result of these changes, we see many businesses that are now changing the way they market their products. Okay? Good. Now, let's take a look at some numbers. Today, 27% of all households in the United States are now headed by a single woman. Okay? That means that there's no man in the house in over a quarter of the homes in the United States. Let's think about that. That is one big change. But the other big change has come about because these days women are working outside the home. That means they're earning money on their own, right? They're making their own money. So, as a result, many of these women want to have a say in how the family money is spent. And the research shows this. 75% household purchases are made by women. What? Purchases. Okay? And 80% of the women make purchasing decisions. Okay? So this is done by women. Now, there was a major poll done in the United States recently, and they found that women now control 75% of household finances, and they control 80% of purchasing decisions. Now, let me share some more specific research. So 62% of women make the car purchases. All right? So there's some new market research that shows that women in the United States now decide 62% of car purchases. I'll add that we also have studies that shows that more and more women are helping to make the decisions about how to repair and improve the house as well. So all of this is telling us that they have helped to make decisions about some of the big ticket items that we mentioned before. Now, these are very important changes because if you remember, we said earlier, these used to be the purchases made by men. Well, not anymore. I think I've given you an idea of the change in men and women spending, and especially the change in the spending by women. All right, so now what I want to ask is, what does this all mean for business? How has the business world responded? Okay, we have something called female economy. Okay, female economy is a way to talk about the new kinds of spending. Okay, the new kind of purchasing that's being done by women. And one big result of this female economy is a movement in more and more businesses to become more female friendly. Now, female friendly basically means to run a business that is more comfortable and more attractive to women. So, research shows that companies are discovering that women are making new kinds of purchases. They're buying products they didn't buy before, and companies are changing the way they market their products in order to try to appeal to their new consumers, women. All right, now I want to show you an excellent example of what I mean by female friendly. There's a car repair company that has shops all over the United States. It's called Jiffy Lube. Now remember, we said that women were starting to buy their own cars, okay? The people at Jiffy Lube wanted to be sure that women went to their company to have their cars fixed. So they made some changes in their business. To appeal to women, they built nice, comfortable waiting rooms with soft, comfortable chairs for their customers to use. Okay? They added magazines that women might like to read in the waiting room. And this is the interesting part. They taught their workers how to explain their car services clearly and carefully so that their new customers, women, could understand. To do all of this, they spent $8 million. Okay? And this is all to appeal to women. All right, I'm going to stop here for today. We've seen from these examples that the new female economy is something businesses are taking very seriously. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of money for businesses to make in this market. Now next time, I'll give you a few more case studies of female-friendly businesses.